Hello, just wanted to show you my latest Minecraft creation called the Warp Zone for obvious reasons. It has a Mario theme, obviously. It's got the pipes and it's got some pixel art, very fancy. And it's basically, I wanted to replicate the pipe functionality in Minecraft and make it feel like you're actually traveling through the world using these pipes. It's something that you could place in your server. It's something that is survival safe, so you can use it on a creative or a survival world. It supports up to 45 destinations. Each wall is 15, so 15 times 3 is 45. And you select your destination by pushing the button for the destination that you want to go to. I've left space between the buttons and the indicator lights so that you could put a sign just like this one that indicates where that destination is. I say it's survival safe because it uses a TNT launcher, basically, to launch the player up into the air and get into the pipe. So if I go ahead and do that, you'll see that there's TNT down there. But, oh, there it goes. It warped me, even though I didn't go in the pipe. I tried to avoid it. But you'll notice that I have this effect around me. And basically what that is invulnerability. It saves me from getting hurt by the TNT blast, and it also saves me from getting hurt from any fall damage that I might incur from falling down through the pipe. Obviously it's not perfect from these other pipes, but you can get fancy and rig up your own invulnerability systems on other pipes around the world if you needed to. I used these Etho 3x3 letters in order to spell out the warp zone thing. Unfortunately, the W's aren't the greatest, but what are you going to do? So one of my main goals, besides just all the functionality, was to make this very maintenance friendly. Something very easy for the server administrator to maintain and add destinations to. So this is there's kind of like a second level of user friendliness here. You enter the maintenance mode by pushing that button there, and what it does is it goes around and it reveals the color coding for every one of these destinations. So there's 15 wool block colors that I use on each side, and that corresponds to the actual command block down below that actually performs the warp. So it's very easy for you to go, okay, I want to set up the cyan. I want to set up the cyan destination on the left wall to be an island or a waterfall or wherever it is you need to go. I'll take you down below because when you push this maintenance mode button, it also reveals this hidden staircase. And you take this staircase down. Under here there's a couple of main areas. One is the TNT refill area. I'll take you over there. And this brings you basically underneath the TNT dispensers. There's 10 of them here. You can see they're filled with TNT right now. And if you push this button, it basically gives you a stack of TNT. So you can easily fill up your inventory with TNT and then go over here and place the TNT inside of the dispensers. The other main area for maintenance sake is the command blocks area. It takes you down here, and there's a little ladder. It takes you down to here. This is obviously underneath the pipe, underneath the main part of the pipe. And like I said, it's all color coded. So if you remember earlier, I selected the white destination on the back wall. And so this is my indicator telling me that I currently have that selected. And this is the actual command block right here that would perform the teleportation. If I go over here, the only one I actually have set up in this scenario is this middle gray one right here. If you look at the command block, it gives you the command that it uses to teleport me to the island. Um, and basically, it's teleport, TP, the nearest player within a radius of 30 blocks to this XYZ coordinate, 765, 65, negative 52. And what you can do is actually do a Control A or Shift and use the arrow keys to copy this, and then paste it into the other ones, and then just modify the coordinates to change what the destination would be. So yeah, I think that pretty much explains that little section. So for someone who would be maintaining this, a server administrator or an operator or whatever, this would be where you'd want to go to actually configure this whole system. Now, diving a little deeper into all this, you'll notice that this hidden staircase thing and that fancy, I made this very fancy effect. That is all controlled by what I call the emerald line. It's the circuit down here that is all on this emerald line. I think you'd probably see something like this in music sequencers that other people have made. Basically just brings down these pistons or deactivates them in order, one by one. And you can see it goes all the way around, perhaps all the way around, and then all the way back over here. The main thing that I developed, the main kind of the meat of the whole thing are these latches. These are the thing that I designed, and I think basically what you could call them are one wide tileable latches with indicators. If you remember outside, I chose the white, and I did that for a reason because it's exposed here. You could see that it's different from all the other ones currently because these two pistons are raised, whereas on the others it is not. Basically, when you select it, it sends a signal that deactivates all the other latches and resets all the other latches. And then it sends another signal that shifts this 5x1 redstone thing here with these two redstone blocks on the end. If you look at it, it takes the it makes the pistons go up and makes these wool blocks activated. So this redstone signal that's going down the middle here is always powered, and in this direction it goes through this wool block and activates this repeater here. And beyond on the other side of this wood block right here is the indicator light for that selection. So that's one half of the signal. The other half of the signal goes out the backside and goes in this direction. And this actually goes down on this wire on this big circuit here and gets folded down and then goes down the line all the way back to where that command block section was. And it raises the wool block right behind the command block so that when the warp signal is actually signaled, then it will activate that command block and therefore teleport the player to that destination. So all the wires for the back wall are kind of stuffed underneath all of this here, underneath this quartz circuit that I'll explain later. Oh, and then the other, for the sides, for the left and the right side, I have the circuit lines coming down and making a turn here, going back over here, and then being kind of folded and then sent over here towards the pipe where the command block section is. And if I go over here to the other side, you can see it's a similar thing over here. So I made all this. It's very colorful. Probably didn't need to be. It probably uses a lot of redstone that doesn't need, but I made it in creative mode, so I wasn't being very conservative. I kind of made it such that it's very easy to have these kind of viewing areas. So if you want to go up and look, you kind of get a nice view of all the circuitry and everything. And all these torches and everything also helps keep monsters from spawning inside of this area. Now, this quartz line, this is kind of the time-based thing that handles all of the launching and the sound and the actual teleportation. So this is the actual circuit that's activated when the user pushes the button that launches them. First, what it does is it starts right about here behind that piston. And what happens is it gets that piston activates and activates this. It's kind of like a lock. And basically, what it does is it keeps the user from pushing the button over and over again, and therefore accidentally releasing a bunch of extra TNT and causing a bunch of mayhem. It makes it to where you can only launch TNT, and then you have to wait until that TNT explodes before it'll let you dispense anymore. So when that redstone block gets put in place, it activates this line back here, and this is what actually dispenses the TNT back here. It's set up to where that in unison these 5 redstone blocks here get placed underneath and behind the 10 dispensers, and the 10 and therefore 10 TNT blocks get dispensed all at once in unison because that's important. On the other side, the redstone block also sends a signal that goes in this direction. And there's a lot of delay because there's a lot of time between when the TNT is dispensed and when it actually explodes. So that's what all this delay is for. Let me get out of here. At this point, it splits. Right about here is a few, it's a few like maybe, looks like 8 ticks. No, I'm sorry. 16 ticks before the TNT explodes. And what happens at that point is that it'll release the lock so that more TNT can be dispensed. Now, at that point it also splits off and goes down below down here. Now down below here is a command block that checks to make sure that there's actually a player still standing inside of the launch spot. Because if there isn't, then the rest of the sequence will not fire. Another thing is right here is this command block. And this is the command block that gives invulnerability to all of the players in the radius of 100. So anybody who might be near the TNT right before it's about to explode will get invulnerability so they don't get hurt. So right here is an AND gate. So if there's an active pulse, which is coming from this line right here, and there's a player in the spot from this command block, then this gate will be true. And then additional delay happens because this is right about the time that the TNT explodes. But then there's also a lag between when the TNT explodes and when the player actually gets to the pipe. So that's what this delay represents. At this point, this is right about the point right here when the player enters the pipe and it activates the sound. So this is kind of like the sound offshoot. If you look at it, there's actually a button here that you can manually play the sound with. If you look at, you can see all the note blocks. I encased them in fencing so you could see them, but it's kind of hard to mess with them because they're easy to mess up. Also, around the time that the sound goes off, it splits off in this other direction, and it hits another AND gate. The AND gate is basically just set up for debugging so that you can activate the warps. So in this case, the switch is down, so the warps are on, I'm sorry. And if I were to turn that on like that, then basically what that does is it switches warps to be off so that you can test the whole sequence and everything without actually warping the player. So if there's an active pulse and we're not in debug mode, then it goes on and there's an additional delay right here. And this pretty much represents the time after the player enters the pipe but also you want to give them a little bit of time to fall through the darkness before they actually get warped. So at this point right here is right about when the player actually gets warped. And it goes off in two directions, one over here to the, and these are the command blocks I showed you earlier. And the redstone signal will be sent to all of these repeaters, but only the one that has the wool block raised will be activated. So only the command block for the currently selected destination will be activated by the redstone, and therefore teleport the player to that destination. So you can see it goes off in this direction, and then turns a corner, and then goes off in that direction to activate those command blocks, and goes off in this direction to activate those command blocks. So I think that's pretty much it for the quartz line. That's a pretty decent summary. I try to make it clean and nice for people who want to look through it and maybe improve on it or try to understand how it all works. So that's pretty much it. Just wanted to make a couple more notes here. Firstly, the MC Edit schematic that I'm including with this it goes from bedrock, the lowest bedrock, all the way up to the top, and I'll show you why. Way up at the top here, which you can't really see because it's raining. Keep going up, up, up. Eventually you see this glass layer up here. And that was basically just to rain-proof the whole area. You can see it's kind of the same shape. Another thing that I want to show you up here is this wool circle thing that I have here. Now the purpose of that is to cast a shadow inside of the pipe. It gives you that effect and blocks the sunlight without making it too obvious. And you can see inside the pipe it's nice and dark as a result. This gives the user the appearance that they're falling into an actual pipe and that there's no end and that they're just going to fall forever. Very good effect. So the purpose of this was to make it easy to place into your world by selecting the entire thing like that. And it was designed to be placed out in the middle of the ocean, kind of like how I have it right now. And the thought process behind that was that you wouldn't want to have this somewhere necessarily mixed in among all your other creations. You'd want it to have it some special place that's the player would go to that's apart from the rest of the world, that takes them to other parts of the world. Kind of give you that feeling that it's something different, something outside of the world itself. If you are curious about this water effect that I have here, that I did all around the edges like this, I have made a tutorial and I will link that. That explains how to do that. It could be tricky sometimes. It's not very fun when it doesn't work, but I think the effect is well worth it. It makes it look very interesting. It creates a very unique effect. Anyway, so that's about it. Thanks guys for checking this out. See you soon.